Meeting. We're going to have a public hearing on the last bill, which is HB 241. Before we get started, let's give anybody to sign up. If you haven't signed up, you're welcome to it. All right, going once, going twice. All right. I tell you, we're starting in off. You want to lead us in the word? Yes. Everybody turn the phone on silent, please.
If you'll bow your heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this bright sunshine. We thank you for each member that's here in this committee, Father. We thank you for those that are in the audience. We pray, Father, today that we would hear your voice and, Father, that we would follow your guidance, making decisions for this state that we all love. We thank you for your forgiveness, your love, and your blessings. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
On that thought, Mary Ruth, I think a lot of y'all know what she's going through. Keep her in your prayers and her daughter in your prayers and her thoughts. Just keep her on your clerk, call roll, please.
Representative Ingram.
Here.
Representative Wood.
Here.
Representative Dr. Boyd. Gotcha. Representative Hurst. Representative Standridge.
Here.
Representative Clark. Yes. Representative Crawford.
Here.
Representative Jones. Representative Fittler. Here. Representative Hammett.
Here.
Representative Harrison.
Here.
Representative Hope Jones.
Here.
Representative Stubbs.
Here.
Representative Thatcher.
Here.
All right, thanks. First bill up, we're going to go a little out of order because Representative Butler has another meeting. Representative Butler, you have the floor. HB 252.
Thanks so much, Chair and members. This is a bill we passed last year in the House. It did not make it out of the Senate, but it deals with Class 4 municipalities, which is Gadsden and Tuscaloosa. Except whenever this legislation passed originally back in the day, Tuscaloosa exempted themselves from it, so it only applies to Gadsden. So every 3 years, Gadsden has to change accountants if they choose to. They have to. They can't keep the one. They can go the 4th year to a new guy and then go back to the other one they like. So they're just asking for the same playing field everybody else has. And that is it in a nutshell.
Any questions for the sponsor? Do I hear a motion?
I move in favor of the
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, likewise. Bill's given a favor.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next bill up is Representative Sales, HB 324. You have the floor, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, member. So we all swap. You know, we get elected and take office on a certain day, but that day starts at 12:01 a.m., right? So that happens with sheriffs too. So sheriffs are actually on duty and it might be in the middle of investigation and doing things. So I thought it'd be a good idea if the sheriff swapped at 12 p.m., which would be the daytime. And I talked to them and they're all in favor of that. We think that's what they want to do, and that's all I'm asking to do in this bill, and I think we have an amendment.
I think we have an amendment if there's no discussion on it.
Yes, sir. I have an amendment to the bill. I think everybody has a copy of it. The amendment just replaces line 32 through 36 on page 2. Inadvertently, when this bill was written, it had a conflicting outcome for county commissioners, and so in review of this bill, we needed to make an amendment so that it did not contradict an existing statute. So that's what this particular amendment is. It just changes some of the language on page 2 so that we're not contradicting an existing statute related to county.
Any discussion on the amendment?
I move the document.
I hear a second.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Amendments passed. Back on the bill. Any discussion on the bill?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So what's the problem with them going in office before they in the morning?
Well, if you want to know, I'll tell you. I'd rather not discuss it.
Give a couple of
Well, there's been cases where they got there to the takeover, and there's no batteries in the cars, there's no keys to the cars, there's no food in the freezer at the jail, and on and on and on. So
then you gotta have the deputies come in at midnight. You gotta shift change and all that. So.
I think it's just better to do business in the daylight.
Any more discussion? I have a motion. All in favor?
That's for House Bill 324 as amended.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Bill given a favor. Thank you, Representative Sales. Next bill up is Senate Bill 80. Senator Butler, but Representative Woods is gonna, And you can do it from here if you don't want to. If you don't,
Okay.
whatever you want to do.
I'll do whatever you tell me to do, Chairman. I'll sit right back down. this is really special, and I'm kind of, just to give you some background, I'm kind of glad that Cinder could not be here because in 2002 I was the county commissioner and I benefited from this program that I'm about to tell you about. So from 1974 through 2009, the late O.H. Buddy Sharpless III served as the executive director of the Association of County Commissions of Alabama, and during his tenure, he spearheaded the passage of legislation creating the Alabama Local Government Training Institute and mandating the essential training of newly elected county officials, which I was one of those. Since the Institute's creation in 1994, thousands of county commissioners have received county training on budgeting, finance, public works, community relations, personal management, ethics, and various other important topics to equip them with the knowledge that they need and the resources to better serve local citizens. Sharpless passed away in May of 2024, and this bill proposes to honor his impact by simply renaming the institute as the Buddy Sharpless Education Institute. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I would ask if there's any questions.
Any questions?
How does the county association?
Yeah.
I was gonna have Sonny come up before we take a motion. Sonny
Sir.
Rasfield, would you like to speak on this bill, please?
Sure, I'll,
No crying.
you and I'll get through this. Buddy's an extremely special man to me. I think y'all know I worked for him for 20 years. He loved county government. I guess I'd been there 2 weeks. He said, we got to do something about commissioners. They get elected, they have no training, they don't know what to do. And we were the second state in the country to pass a mandatory training program for county commissioners. He passed away back in May, and we appreciate y'all being willing to honor him by changing the name of this program, which was his idea.
He's a good man. He was a good man.
Very good.
Do I hear a motion? Second.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise.
Several of
Bill's
us
giving a favor report.
Yep, we've all,
Yeah,
three
I
of us
certainly
voted,
agree.
four,
I did
okay,
too,
5,
yeah.
okay, there's a lot.
You went in in 02, I went in in 04.
I'm trying to think if I was born then.
But you know, the one that you mentioned that didn't know anything was the chairman, right? Because the rest of us did.
Right. All right, next bill up is HB 241, Representative Easterbrook. You have the floor, sir. And this is a public hearing on this.
Thank you, sir. HB 241 is a bill that's about cost savings and government intrusion. The question comes, for 250 years, we built houses in this country without an engineer's stamp. In the last couple of years, Mobile County has decided you have to have an engineer to engineer your plans in order to build a house. Baldwin County started that prior to that. And most of the municipalities have signed off with it in Baldwin County, and the majority of them in Mobile County, not all. If you have the building code officials, the municipality, they set the wind code requirements that you have to build to. It's not a question of whether or not the house is going to be built different. It's going to be built exactly the same. Engineers go to the building code, and there's the wood table and stuff, and copy this stuff and paste it on the plans and charge you a nice chunk of change for doing that. A 2,500 square foot house, the engineering cost is about $4,000. Then you have to pay a permit to the county or municipality. That's another couple $1,000. If you want it fortified gold, you pay the engineer another $1,200. To get the fortified gold, you have to use a cloth material over the windows, window protection. That's about $4,500. That's $12,000 you spent. And you've had the city come out and inspect it, or the county, whoever it is, with certified inspectors, and then you have an engineer come out and inspect it one time, to inspect what's already been inspected. So why are we paying for 2 inspections? The county and the engineer to do an inspection on the exact same thing, when the plans already show how the house is to be built. regardless of whether it's engineered or not. The cost savings, it would be about $12,000 if you went all the way through with a fortified gold. The wind protection is a cloth fabric. It's to get the fortified gold versus plywood with clips, which we used in the past. They require you to have every piece of plywood cut, numbered, labeled for the window that goes on it, and the clips there. With the fortified gold, you can't use that. But you can if you choose not to fortify the house. Even if it's engineered in Baldwin County right now, you're not required to get the house fortified. That's the owner's decision. The only time, but you can't get it fortified gold without an engineer's stamp. You can get it fortified bronze, and that's where the majority of the savings is at. It relates to the roof. The roof is put on the same way regardless of whether it's engineered or not, because the municipality's requirements are exactly the same. The builder has to pass the building code test to build houses. Inspectors are trained on the building code. The municipality and county set the building wind requirements for that area. You have no choice but to build it to that level. Then, just to check it, I've checked a 2,500 square foot house built in Saraland, Alabama, yesterday. No fortified, period. Insurance, $1,384 a year. Fortified bronze, which you do not have to have an engineer involved in, $1,312 a year. That's $72 savings. Fortified gold, $1,256 a year. That's $128 savings, and you spent $12,000 to get it. The cost to build a house has doubled in the last 8 years. Housing is ridiculous right now, the price of it. I built a house in 2016 for $115 a square foot. They sold it last month in Saraland for $235 a foot. The same house. It cost about that to replace that house. When you go to the fortified program, I won't give you some examples of, they test stuff in a wind pump. It's like blowing a pea through a straw versus laying it on the table and blowing it against it. The only way you can get the fortified gold is with a cloth material already cut to go over the windows. And they say that's because with a plywood, blowing it at 160 miles an hour inside of a wind tunnel and stick it through the plywood. With the cloth, it's going to bust your window out, but they say it won't stick it through there. Well, 160 mile an hour blowing through a straw is not the same as 160 mile an hour blowing where it has room to go around. The fortified bronze, you can still use the plywood. So it's a question of, do you want the government to tell you how to build every house you build? Are you satisfied with the homes that we've built in the previous 200 years? And the houses in the Mobile and Baldwin County area, the South Mobile and Baldwin County area, during the hurricanes, they took a lot of damage. The wind codes were raised that we built to them. They're not seeing that damage anymore. It's not because the engineers involved, it's because they raised the wind code requirement that you have to build to. So the cost to engineer a house has tripled in the last 2 years. I'm having a house built right now, $7,000 for the engineer. A one-story house. And all they're doing is copying it out of the building tables and putting it on the plans and putting a stamp on it. I don't need their stamp. I've built houses for 30 years. And never had a problem. And I would need that stamp if I want to get the fortified gold. I understand that. That's my decision. Not the county, not the municipality, the homeowner, the one who's paying the bill. That's his decision of whether or not to spend that money. All you're getting is actually a stamp on a piece of paper. It's already built the same way. Exactly the same way. Thank you.
All right, any questions? Sponsor, we are having a public hearing, go ahead.
We talked about the two inspections, are they exactly the same inspections, or are they
Yeah.
inspecting different things?
No, they're expecting the same thing. They're expecting to the plans that were stamped. And they would be expecting to the same plans if they didn't have a stamp on.
All right, any more questions? We'll get on to the public hearing. Yes, sir.
What about in areas that have been prone to, you know, this level of higher intensity weather activities? Should we not have that engineering? Because the engineers do it. I'm a recovering bureaucrat, by the way, so I charge a little bit. I charge, you know, I'm a per minute guy. Engineers they do a little bit different in terms of, you know, what the inspector does, right? There's a significant difference in what they do. One's looking at the design versus the compliance with code, and that's a difference. So
They're both, when they stamp that plans, they're stamping it is in line with the code.
I don't want to go back and forth with you, but the compliance with code and the engineering standards are not necessarily the same. But more so, those increased resiliency of homes that we talked about that you said have increased were because of engineering recommendations. I'm not saying, yes, sir, we have those in Birmingham as well as a result of our April 27, 2011
The
tornado.
tables were already there. To build anything above 120 mile an hour wind code, you have four options how to do it.
Yes,
Those
sir.
tables were already there.
Right, and they came from engineers.
That may be in the building code itself.
Yes, sir.
That may very well be
Yes,
true, but it's been there for years.
Yes, sir.
I've been building for 30 years. Those have been there the whole time.
Right.
It may have came from engineers,
Yes, sir.
but it's the same on every house.
And I will agree with you on this. As someone who's tried to get people into home ownership, which is my most important thing in my life to me, these costs have gotten out of control.
They're out of control.
So I would absolutely.
300% increase in 2 years is ridiculous.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask one question. You mentioned in the beginning, Mobile and Baldwin County and municipalities in those areas. This obviously would be a statewide approach, and is this happening in other areas across the state? And are we in a position where we're trying to solve a problem in Mobile and Baldwin County that may just be a problem in Mobile and Baldwin County?
I don't know how many other places are required. Okay. But it's gonna be more and more if they continue.
Mr. Chairman, would you like me to elaborate a little bit on what fortified is and gold, silver, bronze that he's referring to? Fortified is strengthened construction, and it is available. There was a wonderful team that worked with the Department of Insurance. We now have over 75,000 homes that are built to fortified construction in the state of Alabama. 4,000 of those 75,000 are not in Mobile and Baldwin County. So to your point, there are 4,000 that have been documented across the state of Alabama other than the coastal counties, Mobile and Baldwin. In very, very simple elementary terms, the lowest certification, the smallest discount you can get is your bronze, which in very simple terms is a fortified style roof. It has a water barrier under the shingles, so therefore the house stays dry when the shingles are blown off. Silver, basically, you didn't mention silver, but it talks about the window covering. So you have impact resistant windows and basically a new fortified roof. So you get a 35% discount, and this is mandated by code through the legislature as well as the Department of Insurance. So you get a 35% discount off of your wind premium. Your wind premium is obviously much more expensive in Mobile and Baldwin County than it would be anywhere else. The highest level that you can get is your gold certification that we're referring to here, and it is much more into the whole engineering concept. You cannot make an old house gold fortified because it has to be done at new construction, has to be certified on the plans, in addition to the roof and the window openings, and not just the windows, your garage doors have to be certified and that type thing, But it also, if you're familiar with mobile homes, mobile home has a tie-down strap. They basically go in and tie down the trusses into the ground as it's being built. So those are the gold certifications. Not to confuse all that he's talking about with the engineer, but if you haven't ever heard the word fortified and you're hearing all of this gold and bronze and all that, I thought it might be helpful to just kind of dummy it down to those
I would
discussions.
like to add to that, if you're building south of I-10, to get to the fortified gold, the insurance savings are there. That's why, they still can't, you can't require them to fortify a house. There's no law that requires them to do it. But since they've already paid for the engineering, they might as well pay the other $1,200 and buy the window cloth at $4,500 and save it and get they get a nice insurance savings because of the wind. The closer you get to the Gulf, the better the savings. When you get north Baldwin County and North Mobile County, I don't know how many of you would spend $12,000 to save $128 a year, but I tell them to go fly a kite. And if I did anything, I'd fortify it as bronze. There's a $56, there's a $72 savings. So 56 more to go to the gold versus bronze per year. It makes no sense. And the main thing is it's the homeowner's decision.
One quick.
I got a question just on the bill. So, in reading it, you're saying that what you're proposing in the legislation is single-family residence under 3 floors. Is that right?
Yeah.
Any
Three and down.
Okay, 3 and down. Does that count the basement, or is that?
No.
So it's 3 above ground.
Same as the building code. That's what the
Okay.
building code.
All right, let's move on to the public hearing. First up, yes, ma'am.
I'm the speaker.
We have 4.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna go keep it under 5 minutes if y'all would. First up is Randy Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and ladies and gentlemen of the committee. In 2002, I was elected to District 96, which had Mobile and Baldwin County as the proper, and we started and had like 10 hurricanes over a period of 12 years. And the first one was Ivan. Then, and the second year we had Katrina, and everybody lost their wind insurance basically. And so our last resort of getting wind insurance was you go through the AIUA, which is an underwriter program. But even that insurance can be as much as $7,500 just for the wind. And then you have permission to buy property and casualty on your home. So it gets very, very expensive. Since that time, we met, the legislative delegation of Mobile and Baldwin County, met every Wednesday for 10 years to come up with the fortified housing program, because they said to us, you don't have enough insurance coverage in your community and you're not building to a standard across the state. Now the hurricane zone has widened. I think it goes all the way from Dothan now to Tuscaloosa. Katrina, Tuscaloosa County is a Katrina zone. But, you know, tornadoes in between EF2s, 3s, and EF5, there are not many houses that can stand those. So it's for mainly single family dwelling. I'm glad this conversation is coming up, because the latest letter that has come out from AIUA is, we'll take your money, but if there is another hurricane, which costs this state a lot of money, okay, when the tourism coming off the beach in Mobile and Baldwin County is $20 million a year, and even just into the ETF or more, it's costly to everything that we do, from the general fund to the education trust fund. So I'm glad we're talking about it. I have been struggling this year to find insurance for my house. I live south of I-10 and west of 98. The only place. I have fortified my roof, and I have a bronze standard, that certificate is on website with the insurance department. So they worked with us all the way through, and also had some grants, had a grant program where you can get a fortification of your home up to $10,000 if you so apply. And we've had really good results with that. I have no idea how many houses have been fortified. I didn't use that money for myself, but I can help people get that money. And but the idea behind it is it's really nice the day after a hurricane to ride through town and see houses standing and the roof is on them. And Francis is in the insurance industry. Water damage is the biggest thing. You know, water damage is the biggest thing. And so a bronze setting, bronze certificate really is a good thing. And so it's moving. I have a nephew working in Alpharetta, Georgia right now for FEMA, trying to reach over into the Carolinas to fix the damage that has been done over there. And there's not any FEMA money. We had FEMA money in the early days. We don't have it anymore. Okay, it doesn't come to Mobile County or Baldwin County or the state of Alabama. But I think there's some room for improving what we have. I appreciate our local governments for you build something, it better be the standard. And does it cost more? Yes, it may cost more, but I don't know what it would cost to replacement costs now. So replacement costs are unbelievable. And so thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Thank you. All right, next up, Frank Lundy. Did I say that right?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Board, for having us. I'm Frank Lundy, County Engineer, Baldwin County. I'm not going to dive into the weeds of all the building components. We'll leave that to the building officials, building inspectors. I do want to share some facts with you, though. September 2004, Hurricane Ivan rolled through South Alabama, landed right in Gulf Shores. Extensive damage, well known. Many in this room might have some stories about Hurricane Ivan. Hurricane Ivan, just in the county's footprint, not municipalities or not on state roads, but just in the county's footprint, generated 2.5 million cubic yards of debris. Substantial home damage, substantial structure damage, substantial residential structure damage during that storm. Many can probably attest to that. Okay, move forward to 4 years ago, September 2020, Hurricane Sally rolled into Baldwin County. Didn't think much of it. Most people didn't. That storm had in excess of 100-mile-per-hour winds for in excess of 8 hours through many parts of Baldwin County. Hurricane Sally generated 4.4 million cubic yards of debris on county roads and the county footprint. Twice the debris from Ivan. For a Cat 2, don't get hung up on categories. Every storm is unique. Point is, double the debris. But what was different? A fraction of the number of structures damaged. A small fraction from what we saw in Ivan. So what's different? Twice the debris, a fraction of the number of the structure damage. Well, I can tell you what's different. Our building codes and requiring professional design and professional input on the front end when plans are being developed. The programs we have in place in coastal Alabama work. We ask that you please do not remove that. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, next up, Baker Allen with the lead.
Good afternoon. I'm Baker Allen, Director of Governmental Affairs for the Alabama League of Municipalities. We're opposed to House Bill 241. This bill creates a one-size-fits-all approach to building codes in Alabama. We need flexibility at the local level to provide for the needs of each area of the state. As we talked about, there's standards in Baldwin and Mobile County that might not apply to the rest of the state. So creating a one-size-fits-all works in both directions, either creating standards too high for the rest of the state or too low for it. For example, we have the Fortified Homes Initiative in the south part of the state to make sure we can get insurance and that our citizens are safe there when homes are built. In other parts of the state, we have tornadoes, and we have sharp terrain, which might require additional engineering work. Municipalities have denser populations. If a house collapses because the standards aren't right, it might not just affect the owners of that home. If that house falls over and hits neighboring properties, the implications are not necessarily localized to that one unit or the person buying it. And it create a situation where fly-by-night operators could come in and take advantage of that local area. These existing requirements ensure citizen safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the lead? No. All right, next up is Franklin. I can't read the first name. Brandon, I'm sorry.
Chairman, Representative, thank you. I am building official for the City of Gulf Shores and also president of the Alabama Gulf Coast chapter of the International Code Council. When we talk about building codes, they are produced by the International Code Council. So we got the International Building Codes, International Residential Codes. I've been doing this for 24 years now, next week. And before Hurricane Ivan, we went strictly by the building codes. The building codes regulated everything we did. And today we still go strictly by the building codes. But the building codes, within that, there's a chart. There's a wind chart that you will see shaded areas, 140 mile per hour or greater, require a special wind design. So there are no charts, there are no tables, there are no conversions within the building code that we have adopted that regulate codes up to 140 and above. This states in the building code that Gulf Shores is to enforce 160 mile per hour wind loads. All of Baldwin County, all of Mobile County is 140 and greater. So if I could use the building code as it's written, I would be more than happy to, as would all the building officials in our area. But because we are in a special wind zone, the building code does not apply. So we have to rely on either engineering or another method, which is the wood frame construction manual. And like I said, I've been doing this 24 years, and I still can't read that book. It takes an engineer to read that wood frame construction manual. We've allowed owners and builders to try to build to the wood frame construction manual. It is near impossible. People who have started trying to build to that manual have, in 100% of the times, and permitting in Gulf Shores, have reverted back to an engineer design. So it's not that we require it, the building code requires it. So I'm asking that you not take that part out of Baldwin and Mobile counties. I'm glad to pass this out if I may.
I would love to see copies of it. Or just pass it and start it on that end.
You'll see, the International Residential Code was written for the entire United States. And you'll see outside of that shaded area, most buildings can conform to that building code. But just areas along Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, along the coast, a lot of places in Florida, you'll see there's a shaded area there. And that is because it exceeds what the prescriptive message of the building code has.
Representative Crawford.
In the last, I think, President Easterbrook indicated the cost of engineering fees have gone up so much. Can you tell me why?
I think it's because of supply and demand. We do not have enough engineers in the area to keep up with the supply. So yes, I do agree that costs have gone up for engineering.
So you're not getting them all done, but you're charging twice as much.
That, I can't specifically.
If you don't have enough, then you don't get it done.
It takes longer to get it done. Yes, it does take longer to get the engineered plans in most occasions. I wish we had 5, 10 more structural engineers in the Baldwin County area.
So the amount of charge is based on the time an engineer spends on it?
No, sir, they're charging per square footage. So the smaller the house, you know, what their charges may be, I can't, you know, I wouldn't speak to that without, you know, I'd be afraid of telling you a lie. I try to save my lies for Fridays.
So back to the first question.
We're not here on Friday.
So back to the first question, why did it increase so much in the last year?
I gotta hear more about that.
So I had my house, and I built my house in Gulf Shores in 2019, and I paid an engineer 85 cents a square foot. My sister just built a house in Montrose near Fairhope on the bay, and she paid $1.40 a square foot.
Are those, independent engineers doing it? They're not city engineers?
No, so they're third-party engineers, and I say that, they had a home designer recently do their house, and I'll speak to it just because it's been so recent. And if I looked at it as a building official and doing my job forever, look over the plans, they asked me to look at it, so what do you think? You think me to make any changes? And I thought everything was good. Sent it to engineering. They had a house that had 46 pilings underneath it to support it. The engineer added another 18 pilings because of the soil and the loads and the wind design pressures that he was able to apply on it, saying that it needed that. Me as a building official, I did not see that. And had I told my sister that was good, she built it. I actually went out and did the inspections along with the county and doing those inspections to make sure everything was correct on the house. But had I not done, had that engineer not been involved, there may have been foundation failure on it.
And the engineer that does the design or assists in it, is that the person that goes back and does the inspection that it was built the way he or she said it should build it?
Yes, sir. Basically, when we do the plan reviews, we'll make the engineer, we'll verify that the engineer's met all the requirements on everything that we're aware of, and then he puts additional requirements to it. Then once we get out to the job site, it's basically show and tell. You take the plans and you look to make sure that that house meets this one. And speaking of fortified is an option. It is not a requirement. So I hate to get into the whole cost and everything of the fortified. I can tell you just from personal experience, my fortified house is due to be recertified this year. I have 2,000 square foot house, $350,000 coverage. My current premium is $1,800. If I do not recertify under the fortified program, my insurance is going over $2,400.
All right, any more questions? We're not gonna take a motion on this bill today. This is a public hearing. Representative Wood.
I would just like to say something to Representative Easter, if I may. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I don't want you to leave here and feel like you've been beat up on, because I applaud you for what you're doing. I've been in the real estate business for 33 years, and the pain and the struggle right now for families to be able to afford a home is horrible. I've never seen anything like it. It is the most disappointing thing when I have to take someone out and show them now what they can actually afford. It's different. It's hard. It's really hard. And we're all trying to find a way to help people live in a community where we know they can thrive, where they can help a community grow and stay in Alabama. So I applaud you for what you're trying to do. I definitely don't have all the answers. I love all this information and hearing from both sides. But I didn't want you to leave today and not know how much I thank you for what you're trying to do.
Well, I would like to say there is an amendment coming to exclude everything south of I-10, which is what you've heard them talk about. That's south of I-10.
Right.
Well,
Because in my hometown, we don't know anything about gold fortified, none of that. We've never heard anything like that. We don't even have COs after our houses are built, certificate of occupancy, because we can't get them. So you're in a whole different world than we're in.
You would be foolish to build a house south of I-10 and not get it fortified gold. At least bronze. But still, that's the individual's decision, in my opinion. I mean, a Volvo's the safest car on the road. Are we going to demand that everybody buy a Volvo?
Nope, that's right. I agree. I agree with you.
All right. Thank you. Representative Easterbrook. All right, so this is what I want to do with this. We've got subcommittees for this. I want them to plow into it. We've got Governmental Service Subcommittee that's chaired by Representative Stubbs. We do have a vacancy on that, which is Carrie Underwood. I'm going to appoint Francis Hope Jones on that committee and have him report back to me after y'all meet, and we'll talk about this bill in the future. Any more questions or anything, any more talk on this bill? On that, I hear a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Yeah, that's right. You're adjourned.
Thank you.
All right.